Welcome back to the news, everybody. Today we've got another thrilling episode of Twitch's leadership tries to self-immolate and destroy their own platform. It's a pretty funny thing, the way that we can see a company essentially go turbo into the short-term greed and absolutely betray the long-term viability of their platform. It's as if you saw most of the decisions that, in spite of all of their big L's, all the decisions that YouTube took that were generally good for stability and have allowed here to be a pretty healthy platform, Twitch ain't doing that. So we're going to get into things. It's quite fascinating. And also, this is just a few days before tens of thousands of people are going to be looking at Twitch and viewing Twitch because, of course, you've got Key 3, as they call it. All of the different, big, game showcases from all the big companies like Microsoft, all of that. So it was a really good time for Twitch to decide that creators aren't making their money correctly. Quite specifically, aren't making money in a way where Twitch can be inserted as the middleman, getting a bit of a percentage. Now, what is interesting? They went turbo hard on this. Within a few hours, they said, okay, oh dear, our wording wasn't clear. We're going to update things. But obviously the story does absolutely bear talking about. Now, the last time that this happened was really not that long ago. We've been talking about Twitch, how they're handling advertising and that kind of thing for ages. Their new ads situation essentially just means, hello streamer, run certain amount of ads per hour, stream certain amount of time, you will get a bonus. Now, the funny thing is, the sort of revenue split that a Twitch streamer is going to be getting, for that bonus, that's the sort of thing on YouTube. They're just like, oh yeah, did people watch those ads? Well, there you go, there's some money. Whereas Twitch is basically saying, jump through our hoops, and then we will give you the money. And if you fall just shy of the hoops that we've set up for you to jump through, well, you're not going to get as much money, and we'll take the money that was generated, that you were maybe 2% off hitting the criteria to earn. It's quite rough. It overall was just terrible optics, and it was also done in a way where it was interrupting the experience, right? Because the sorts of ads where a streamer can just click the ad button and then the ad rolls, which means a streamer could perhaps time that for, bathroom break or something like that, and just say, hey audience, I'm going to go away for a minute, I'm going to hit the ad button, watch the ads, support me, and then I'll be back. No, it was done in a way where it was just going to be disruptive to the viewer experience because it was all an automated thing from Twitch. And of course, many people would find, oh, look at this key exciting gameplay moment that is now an advertisement for audible.com. How thrilling. As for the news today, the June update. It's quite insane. As so many stories about Twitch do, it started off with a Twitter thread from Zach Bussey, and it's quite interesting. So essentially, they updated their terms of service, right? And this was all about their branded content policy, okay? This is applying to all advertising that's happening on the platform, including anything that streamers organize themselves. They did say that they were going to have a delay in enforcement until July 1st, which would mean that any existing sponsorships could be managed. Now, the thing there is, that's also a load of BS. As an example, Squarespace being a really good partner for us over on the Warcraft channel, they booked the entire year, which was pretty amazing. It means, okay, good, I don't have to worry about some things. Awesome. So obviously, if you have some sort of longer term buy, then this is going to make things be kind of scuffed and annoying. But anyway, to go to the less controversial bit, they updated their branded content sort of policy for what they would or would not allow. And this basically meant no hateful products or services, illegal products or services, certain gambling products like promoting online slots or roulette websites. I wonder if sports betting would fit into that. Unauthorized sharing of private info, spam, scams, and other malicious stuff, weapons, adult-oriented products or services, which in itself could be, could be interesting. What does somebody's, OnlyFans self-promo, how does that fall into it? I imagine it would not fall into that, but still kind of funny. Tobacco-related products, certain financial products or services, so who knows, maybe, the next version where everyone's slinging FTX won't happen. Medical facilities or products, political content, and anything to do with the devil's lettuce. I shall not say its name, for I may get in trouble by the algorithm. There is a special caveat that alcohol can be talked about, but it must be marked as mature content. Okay. That stuff, yeah, broadly, whatever, fine. Here's the big change, though. It's about how the branded content can exist in streams. Any content on your channel that is produced for a brand, for an exchange of value or services, right? It falls into all of that. This could mean, monetary exchange of value or a free service. So the first thing, you have to tag tag branded content on your stream manager, which is not an unreasonable thing, whatever. Then they talk about the positive ways that you can show this stuff off, showcasing a product in your background, branded panels on your channel page, discussing, endorsing, unboxing a product, playing a sponsored game, including links to whatever the hell you're sponsoring, all that stuff that's normal. But this is where stuff got a bit weird. We recognize that streamers want to collaborate with brands, but as outlined in the terms of services, we remain the exclusive right to sell, serve, and display advertisements on Twitch services. And this meant you cannot insert, embed, or burn in pre-recorded advertising units into your live stream. So this is where stuff got weird. Now, a burned-in video ad, that is basically something where, imagine you're watching Linus Tech Tips, and then Linus says something, 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 and a segue to our sponsor. And then it will cut to something else that the Linus Tech Tips team has made, where somebody will do the sponsor read, and about 15 to 30 seconds later, 15 with them, you go back into your video. That would not be allowed, because that is counted as a burned-in video ad. The idea here is that this is basically just anything that, you hit a button in OBS, and it plays the thing. Also, logos and streams. Brand overlays are limited to 3% of screen size, and what's hilarious there is actual physical product placement in your background, it can be more than 3%. So you could basically just get a large format printer for whatever your brand logo is and just put it beside you. Obviously that wouldn't be feasible, but you get my point. They also talk about burned in display ads, like, banners. You can't have a banner be put in, and audio ads, you also can't put those in. Right? Now, a lot of people do run sponsored banner ads. Many more people have a sponsored image or something like that, take up more than 3% of their total screen real estate. And of course, it's not just individual streamers. If you look at everything here, look, here's Johnny Streamer, look how happy he is. Look at this guy. It's not just that. It's, say you are, Games Done Quick, or you are an esports event. Oh dear, that's going to be a little bit of a problem. Now, the question then is, why are Twitch doing this? And before I answer that question, I'm mandated to say, hey, if you're watching this channel and you'd like to watch more videos, do hit the subscribe button. You can also hit the bell and click the all notifications button there, because that means you'll actually find out when we publish content, which is essentially daily now, rather than potentially finding out maybe in the fullness of time, depending on what the YouTube roulette wheel decides to show you. So, yes, do that. It does actually make a difference whenever I mention it, even though I know it's a little bit of a break in things. But with that said, hit the sub button. Let's go back to things. Why are they doing this? Well, Twitch provided zero explanation as to why they were doing this. So we've got to then think about what is the benefit. And this is basically Twitch being like, hey, we're the platform. You can have 23 minutes of your sitcom, but we need to insert 5 different ads in and around that. What are you doing? Putting the advert in your thing. Bullshit, that's cutting us out. Yes, so obviously it's not like a TV, it's not really like the TV example. But the principle here is that Twitch wants to fully control how advertising is on their platform. And if they can achieve that, then of course they position themselves as a middleman. I mean, there's no point selling video ads to companies when a streamer can just go directly to the company and undercut Twitch. Because let's be real, one of the things in this whole, advertising game is information, right? So as an example, I work with a business guy. And it's really sweet because he comes from that industry and he's able to negotiate the prices and handle all that stuff. It means I don't need to worry about that, but also because he's from that industry, he actually knows what the going rate for content is. And one of the things with streamers is companies will often massively lowball streamers for the value provided, because how is the streamer going to know what the fair market value of their ad spot is? I mean, it's not like there's a big database of how much that's worth, right? So obviously, that means that Twitch will have more access to information. They will be easily undercut by working directly with streamers all the time. And also, if it's a direct deal with a streamer, Twitch doesn't make any money, and that's terrible for them. As we've seen with everything, them trying to massively increase the number of advertisements shown on their platform via the new incentive program they've been running for I suppose a year now, the changing of the revenue split, all of that stuff. Absolutely, Twitch is just trying to make more money because they clearly have not optimized themselves as a business. I mean, I don't know if they're earning money or losing money. I do know that video streaming is a really expensive thing to provide. But clearly the sorts of things that YouTube did fairly early, I believe because they were going to be legally nuked. As much as content ID and all of that can be annoying to people, It has meant that with YouTube, like if that little happy green symbol is there, not the yellow demonetized symbol, generally speaking, you're able to make sure your content is monetizable. And once it goes out, it all just works. And it's a pretty stable platform. And that means that people can relatively reliably count on YouTube to be a sort of reasonable place to do business. Whereas you look at Twitch and it is just an absolute chaos, nightmare, hell realm, where Twitch can just suddenly be like, oh yeah, we want you to run 5 minutes of ads an hour. And that's just how it's going to be. And you don't really get a choice in that because they are absolutely dangling the ad money that you have generated just over you, you know? So with this, it feels like it's them trying to kill a competitor, because it's not about stopping advertising. Twitch is still going to be running ads, these burned-in ads, on their own platform. Basically, it all comes down to the creator economy. Twitch wants to extract more value from the creator economy and wants to be a larger role in that, whereas in YouTube, it's pretty simple. It's a 70-30 split, which is better than Twitch's 50-50 on things like subscriptions. Obviously, though, Twitch Prime is a pretty big game changer. It's like the one really good thing that they do have, of course, backed up by Amazon. But yeah, other than that, they just want more control there. But then we go to the competition, because you'll actually notice that YouTube does say no burnt-in ads, right? And people were just kind of saying like, hey, this is bullshit. Why are you not angry about, about this with YouTube? Actually, YouTube is... There are key differences, and Zach puts it pretty well. YouTube has a similar policy for burnt-in ads. The difference, though, is that Twitch also has competing display ads and is testing live ads, sponsorships, channel skins, and a whole bunch of other things. Twitch is a lot more broad, and the thing there is that with those burnt-in ads, YouTube allows it to be a burnt-in ad that you created, right? So Linus talking about, or whatever it is, or the Hardware Canucks guys talking about a new case from Fantex and their sponsor slot, or a SteelSeries mouse. That's okay if you make it. But if SteelSeries just gives you a 30-second ad and says, put that in your video, that's against the YouTube policy. So really, that's the bit that really does make the massive difference there in terms of how it's being perceived. And I think for Twitch, it's just because there's also a directional thing. Directionally, we have seen YouTube become better and better and better as a creator economy platform, you know? They allow you to tie in your merchandise to a little shelf underneath your video. They are making their memberships and all of that to be a better platform, which is quite nice. And, you get pretty decent ad rates. The ad system's fair. All that stuff's good. They're not dangling incentives in front of you to try and gamify, how you're doing your business. YouTube's just sort of fair and good. But then directionally, people look at Twitch, and over the last few years, every direction has went in the way of tightening the screw and being worse for creators. As for how people reacted, it was bad. So here's tips. He, CEO, or he basically runs OTK. He basically said, if this goes through, we'll be leaving. It's a direct attack on our business staff and all the hard work we put into our organization. There's also Games Done Quick. This change went live a day after Games Done Quick ended its big week-long charity stream where there were plenty of burnt-in ads. Now, in the FAQ, Twitch did confirm that the policy on disclosure applies to charities when the streamers aren't personally running the charity. So they say this essentially bans 80% of the promotional content that Games Done Quick uses for charity. This is very much not okay. So that's another example of it being pretty bad. FGC, the fighting game community leaders like Alex were calling out that this functionally kills tournament and esports broadcasts as they currently work. I mean, certainly I remember watching DreamHack StarCraft, and yeah, you have some burnt-in ads there. I never really minded that because, they've paid to put this tournament on, they're paying for the prize pool, and they've paid for all of these casters to come out and give us a good time. I'm totally okay to watch some burnt-in ads that actually happen to be decently targeted at things that I'm into, like mice, keyboards, headsets, that kind of thing. And then other people were clowning on the whole 3% thing, because when you're actually looking at 3% of a screen, it's absolutely, it's absolutely tiny. I'm not allowed to put logos directly in OBS that are over 3% of the screen, but I am allowed to showcase these backgrounds. Is this what it looks like then? Where, for her, it's like this Logitech's prop. Yeah, it's bigger than 3% of the screen. You know, it's just, that's a fun little get around. So because of all this, Twitch then did their attraction, and this is where it's really funny. Today's branded content policy update was overly broad. This created confusion and frustration, and we apologize for that. We did not intend to limit streamers' ability to enter into direct relationships with sponsors, and we understand this is an important part of how streamers earn revenue. We wanted to clarify our existing ads policy was intended to prohibit third-party ad networks from selling burnt-in video and display ads on Twitch, which is consistent with other services. We missed the mark with the policy language and will rewrite the guidelines to be clearer. Thank you for your concerns. We appreciate the feedback. We'll notify the community once, we've worked it out. So, number one, they have just bungled this and lost a whole bunch of good faith. Not that they had that much good faith left. Number two, it's really easy to get the language right in this. And that they didn't get the language right is certainly going to have a lot of people rather suspicious. Because if they don't want those burnt-in ads to happen, even if they are like creator-made or something like that, and they do say that they're looking for parity with YouTube, and if that is the case, then that's fine. I mean, take Preach, one of my Warcraft compatriots. I think it was either from him or his team. No, I think it was from Chunky Ninja, Chris, his editor. They do ads, and they do burnt-in ads, but they make them themselves, right, as like a little skit or whatever, which then the audience enjoys. So if they were banning that kind of thing, that obviously would have been terrible. Again, that's the problem with broad language, because the worst case scenario is, okay, Twitch, so what happens if you start to act as the agency to do these ads and you only allow ones that are done with streamers via you? Then you can see, oh, okay, this is Twitch expanding its advertising business. So one of those things, Twitch have just lost even more faith in what is absolutely a self-inflicted error. And what's interesting is like their community and ambassadors are trying to help them not fuck up, right? Creators, after this announcement, we pushed for a meeting between ambassadors, Twitch staff, and executives, where I'm not allowed to discuss things because of an NDA. Here's what I can say. Things are being reviewed. Concerns are understood. 3% is not acceptable for logos. Will be reviewed further. Confirmation you can operate sponsorships with direct prior arrangements. Goal was to prevent third-party random ad inserts that are conflicting with existing ad products. They've raised the need for ambassadors and community members to be in the room sooner in terms of decision-making, and they've pushed Twitch to come forward beyond just their tweet and give a better understanding of what these changes actually meant to do. So it's this really core thing. And, I think about, say, what DJ Wheat used to work at Twitch for a very long time, was sort of saying about, like, there's a lot of people in Twitch who don't get it, They are culturally, they're culturally SoCal tech people. Stuff about the new CEO not really getting it with the community. More just sort of handling it from the, I suppose, more generic CEO, let's optimize the business, get the money up, etc., position. Whereas in a case like this, it is synergy with your community that allows you to be successful. And I guess this is where things are then kind of interesting, because you have big competitors out there. The biggest one is YouTube. Obviously, Kick and Rumble make a whole bunch of noise, and I think they both have quite a lot of controversies. I'll admit, I know that they are controversial. I don't particularly know why, because I'm not really in the streaming game. I think YouTube, though, is probably the one that's like, it's got the most reach, it's got the most eyeballs, right? Like Ludwig's over here, a bunch of other people have moved over to YouTube. It's just overall quite interesting. Twitch, I cannot understand how they are so bad at stuff that should be so easy, because everything has been so goddamn predictable. Is this a case where they are pushing out the bad version, and then they're going to have a slightly less bad version of things that will still turn things a little bit tighter in streamers, and that'll seem like an upgrade because they've price anchored people in this? I mean, that's a little bit conspiratorial. I think if that was the case, it is totally not worth burning your, your goodwill with the community. It's one of those things I would rather put it down to incompetence and being out of touch than something that's sort of overtly malicious. Like that. I don't think that this was some sort of ploy or scheme. I actually think that they just don't get it and are really bad. We've heard many things about Twitch being a bit of a shit show as a company, right? There being clashes between the DJ Wheats, the people who actually come from the streaming space, who are maybe there since the days of Justin TV, right? And the kind of newer crowd. So, hard to say. I guess YouTube, do gifted memberships, and then get everything else to be better. Be aggressive, and you actually could dethrone Twitch. Will they do that? Who knows? But I just think about how they've done things, and, with Bits, they've been going into the donation thing, which I believe Bits are 70-30, like their memberships are 50-50, which is bullshit. YouTube 70-30 is way better. Yeah, It's just pretty damn rough. Twitch is successful because it was the thing that exploded and grew up. And it's like they've had lightning in a bottle and have just continually squandered it. Let me know what you think, though, especially like if you do streaming as well. I'd like to know what's up there. I mean, we don't really stream that seriously. But yeah, Twitch, full of L's. What a surprise! Anyway, we've got some pretty cool news coming up. There's plenty of videos up on the channel, including a big, long Diablo 4 talk, which you may enjoy too. All right, that's it for me. See you next time.